Welcome back to Morning Live. With me in the studio is Shadrach Anil, the head of customer experience at Angaza, to talk about clean energy and more so solar power in the country and in his organization. Welcome to the studio, Shadrach. What exactly is Angaza?
So Angaza is basically a social enterprise, and we build technology that are used by businesses to offer life-changing products anywhere and everywhere. What this means is that we've built pieces of technology, or basically software, that allow or empower our distributors to be able to make affordable and accessible solar or clean energy solutions to people in emerging markets. And our solutions are basically, our distributors are basically targeting people who at times live below $2 and or even $1 to be able to access clean energy within their households.
Okay, so Shadrach, is Angaza purely a Kenyan enterprise?
No, Angaza is not a Kenyan enterprise, basically founded in the US, the Silicon Valley. Our head office is basically in San Francisco, but we have the operational office here in Kenya.
Okay, where are your offices located? Are you just in Nairobi? Are you spread throughout the country, East Africa?
No, we have actually two offices. We have the HQ in San Francisco, and we also have another office in East Africa that covers again, global footprint, be it South Asia or the whole of Africa. And we also have distributors or customers within South America.
Okay.
Yes.
Why clean energy?
It's quite interesting in the sense that if you look at even what the government of Kenya is trying to do, is to avail last mile connectivity to households. And the challenges around this is on investment. We realize that if you look at it from geographical perspective or even from the distribution approach, reaching far end and looking at the economic value of that is always a challenge. But in Africa and mostly emerging markets, we are blessed by natural resources like the sun. Then how then do we be able to tap that? And I think even the world over, there's more focus on clean energy, and we are basically accelerating the adoption of clean energy.
All right. In the age of PPPs, is Angaza partnering with the government in any projects?
So we don't work directly with the government, but we work with stakeholders, either partners that finance big mega government projects to be able to accelerate the affordability of energy and accessibility of it. So as being a social enterprise, we basically work majorly with private sectors and players to be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Shadrach, I do know that clean energy is indeed a costly affair. How exactly does Angaza get its funding, and where does it get it from?
So from the initial stages, this was basically an investment of our founders. And then they've also gone into the market to be able to fundraise. But currently, we are also running a business that's more or less self-sustainable, in the sense that as we build this platform, as we develop this piece of software, then there's a cost that we charge the distributors to be able to offer their products through this platform. So just to take you back to what Angaza does and how it works, in the sense that we've built pieces of software that we actually share with our distributors, and distributors embed them into their solar device systems. This piece of software provides the capability to be able to manage these devices remotely. Then we built what we call the Energy Hub that allows them to have visibility into how, for example, their salespeople are acquiring customers in the market, how the customers are able to make payments. So we integrate with other technologies such as mobile money to be able to have real-time payment collection for the distributors, and even real-time distribution of the remote management capability back to the device. So having built that piece of software, then we also charge our distributors to be able to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Shadrach, you talked about Angaza being a social enterprise. How exactly do you give back to the community as an organization?
So there are several ways on which we do this. One of them is the accessibility to these services. Look at it, look at the cost of electricity. Is it affordable from the time it's distributed to the common man or to somebody who is living below $1? That's probably is a debate. And I believe the government also is doing a lot to be able to make that accessible. What we are basically doing is that through our platform, we are creating the ability to offer this in an affordable way through technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
What exactly are the key milestones that Angaza is currently involved in terms of projects?
So one of the things, or basically some of the things, is to be able to build this platform so that it's scalable enough and to provide the right functionalities that our distributors need and even the end customers require. But on the other aspect, some of the value that we basically bring to the society is with the clean energy you've had around carbon emission. How then do we help in cutting carbon emission? How does our technology help in making the environment clean? And these are some of the things that we basically do as we try to enable the accessibility of these devices together with our distributors to look into the bigger picture of how do we then become environmental conscious.
All right. And in Kenya, is policy catching up with clean energy, or is there still more to be done?
I think there's a lot that needs to be done. I'm basically not a policy expert, and I've seen government doing a lot of things in order to be able to make the environment conducive in terms of operation and to support renewable energy. And you can basically attest that we've made some of the greatest steps in adoption of clean energy within Kenya. And you can see some of the things that, for example, as Angaza are doing, and even other key players are doing to be able to enhance the adoption of clean energy.
All right, Shadrach, tell me more about pay as you go, and what is it all about and how does it work?
So the concept of pay as you go is, like I've mentioned to you, that at times the capital investment that might be required to be able to avail the last mile connectivity might be huge. And therefore, what pay as you go model does is to create a model that allows people to pay installment to be able to own these solar power devices. So when you buy a solar device from a distributor, then you basically pay small bits of amount, which can either be daily or monthly. But the idea is you are paying towards ownership, right? So then now this is where our technology also comes in to be able to allow you to offer that installment payment. And there are small chunks of payments from 50 Kenya shillings to probably 100 Kenya shillings, which is $0.5 to $1, or at times to probably $2, depending on the initial cost of that equipment. But they're actually very affordable. So the ability to be able to pay in installments with the final view of owning the device is the whole concept around pay as you go.
Remarkable, Shadrach. We're taking a short break now. When we come back, we'll be joined in studio by Calvin Jadisi from Ascenti, Kenya, where we keep on talking about clean energy in the country. Keep it switch. Welcome back to Morning Live. With me in the studio is Calvin Jadesi from Ascenti. Earlier on, we were speaking to Shadrach from Angaza on clean energy. Now, when we left the conversation, and just to rope you in, Calvin, we were talking about financial inclusion. What exactly is Ascenti, and how exactly does this tie into clean energy?
Yeah, I mean, so Ashanti Africa is an organization that actually do events across Africa, and this year actually we've been having a lot of interest in financial inclusion, as Kenya is one of the leading financial inclusion countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Like if you look at the uptake of different companies that are driving financial inclusion in Africa, Kenya is one of the leading one, and so we've had that interest to try to understand that particular scope, and that's the reason why we actually connected to Angaza that has one of their major project of pay as you go, and that's how we're connected to actually green energy. Yeah.
All right, thanks for that, Calvin. So how exactly does this work? Do you fund Angaza? Do you go to the common person on the ground? So how do you ensure that this financial inclusion vis-a-vis the customers on the ground accessing clean energy?
Yes, so for us it's more of advocacy. I mean, we want more people to understand what's financial inclusion, because if you tell somebody financial inclusion, actually anytime you mention the word finance, somebody thinks either it's a bank or it's a microfinance and all that. But we have so many companies that are driving financial inclusion, and financial inclusion simply means that ease access to finance, or ease access to products at a very reasonable price, and so you find that one of the things that Angaza does is, they have the pay as you go, so that you can even pay as minimum as 100 shillings. So those are the things that, we come to understand that, these are sectors that are driving financial inclusion, and not only in energy sector. We have, for example, if you check our website, which is finiawards.com, we have different categories. If you look at even micro insurance, companies that you can get a cover as 20 shillings, every month or something. And so those are the direction that we're going, because not everybody can afford to pay probably 1,000 shillings, or not everyone can afford actually to pay like 10,000 or something like that for the cover. Yeah.
Okay. Shadrach, how exactly does financial inclusion tie into your business plan?
So if you look at the kind of, first of all, Angaza builds technology. So we are basically a software company. And what we've done is, when you look at that accessibility, we are actually making it possible for people who don't have credit facilities, people who don't have financial muscle, people who are actually probably have never been in a bank or offered bank services before, to be able to access these services. A classical example is that you've heard there's an organization that makes clean cook stoves. Yeah, so we partner with that organization so that they can be able to sell their cook stoves through our technology. Our technology allows them to be able to offer these cook stoves to customers who are basically low income earners. And you realize that there is no credit referencing on these individuals. There is no huge amount of deposits that are required. And that's how we basically enhance financial inclusion.
Fantastic. So it means that a person of low income status can just walk into your offices and say, I'd like a solar panel. Can I have a plan? How does that work?
So they can basically walk into a distributor's office or a distributor's shop, right? And probably through very minimal verification of where do you stay, what's your kind of level of income, then they can be able to advise them that you basically can take this piece of solar panel. Then they go with it at home. So it's get to be installed for them, they start using it. Now, when we look at pay-as-you-go, now the concept of what Angaza, basically the platform that we built and how it supports it, is that once they've made that initial payment, the payment details are basically captured on the Angaza platform. Now, when they also make another payment to be able to use the device, so look at it from this angle, that you have a solar device that you've bought, right? Initially, you couldn't afford it because probably it's 10,000 shillings. 10,000 shillings that you can't make that capital investment at once. So they give you probably pay a deposit of 2,000, then they stagger the 8,000 to be paid either on a daily basis or on a weekly or a monthly, depending on the terms that you've extended. Now, the beauty is that when you pay, you use the device. When you don't pay, you don't use the device. So the Angaza platform allows the flexibility for the distributor to enforce that function of switching it off and switching it on when you don't pay, and the ability to be able to monitor and even to collect payment that you actually submitting to the distributor.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Calvin, your company Ascenti is driving the Financial Inclusion Awards.
Yeah.
How exactly does this tie into clean energy and more so solar powered energy?
Yeah, I mean, clean energy is still big. I mean, it's still big in this country. And if you look at even, the direction where the world is going to is everybody is looking at clean energy. And recently the president just launched a mega project that's worth billions in Turkana. So you find that there's a lot of interest in clean energy, and so I mean, either doing it at a big scale like what the government is doing, or you find that smaller companies like Angaza that works with solar companies to drive that, or even as Delight, for example, and all these different Sun King and all those different companies as well, and so you find that they're actually able to get this same solar panel or solar powers to the different rural areas, or probably, I mean, those places that cannot be able to access electricity, and these people have very strong, they have very nice payment plan, and that's how it actually ties to financial inclusion, and we want to see more. For us is creating awareness, and want to see more companies reach as many clients as possible outside there, but also make the common mwananchi understands, like, so there's this kind of payment plan, that if I can get a solar panel for example, my grandmother at home who is not, who doesn't have electricity or something like that, and the future is clean energy. Yeah.
Indeed it is. Now, Calvin, partnering and also having financial inclusion and also partnering with Angaza and like-minded companies is just one facet
Yeah.
of what Ascenti does. What exactly does Ascenti do, and who is Ascenti?
Yeah, so basically Ascenti was started in 2015, and the interest was for us to try to understand the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Africa. And so we have actually an annual conference that happens every year in different countries. So this year we're going to have our conference in Accra, Ghana. And because of that, we got into financial inclusion because we're more into technology. It's, we are more an innovation entrepreneurship company, and so we got a lot of interest on financial inclusion because financial inclusion and technology goes pretty much together. Like, you have to create, like, what Angaza does. They have that particular platform that helps all these people drives, be able to get, a good payment plan for the solar companies and all that. And so for us, that has been our interest, and that's what we want to drive, for example, in the next 5 years. And so we just focus on in different events in different countries, but obviously a lot of focus in Kenya as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, Ascenti is a Pan-African company.
Yes.
Do you have a heart for startups?
Yeah, I mean, our focus is startups, and that's where that's where the conversation starts. I mean, we work with a bit of corporates, and if you look at the kind of corporates that we also work with, more of, like the small and medium enterprises, like, Angaza, as well. So we want to see how can we also lift these other small companies to position them. And one thing about also financial inclusion that we're looking at, just as I said, is not only solar. I mean, we have banks, we have SACCOs already on board. We have mobile loan apps as well. We have micro insurance as well. And so what you're looking at is how can we drive also partnership in financial inclusion. So if you look at how most of, for example, what my colleague from Angaza said, they actually rely more on partnership. They have the platform, but they're going to they're getting other solar companies and all that to use their platform. And so the future is, how can you drive financial inclusion through partnership? How can you get, for example, more circles to work with Angaza, for example? How can you get more banks to work with Angaza? How can we get, more companies to actually drive inclusive partnership as a way of driving financial in different sectors, be it a microfinance working with an insurance company, be it a bank working with an energy company, so that they can be able to enhance the supply and all that. Yeah.
So now it's not about Ascenti for Pan-African viewers. How exactly do you enable startups out there? Are you like an angel investor? Do you offer resources in terms of skills, training? How does that work? Do you have a compass?
So what we've been able to do right now, I mean, the future is, we're looking at establishing a campus, but for now, what we've been able to do is linkages. I mean, we link a lot of startups with, with potential mentors and also even for potential funders as well, because all these guys are in our network as well. So,
Okay.
so basically, that's what we've been doing for the last 4 years in terms of linkages. Yeah.
Okay. Shadrach, what is the future of clean solar energy in Kenya? I mean, the Last Mile project has done quite a lot in the country in terms of also rural electrification initiatives by the government. What future does solar power have in Kenya vis-a-vis also the cost?
I think there's a great potential. As technology matures, I think we'll be able to get cheaper, not even cheaper, but affordable devices. We've seen now, apart from basically looking at the light aspect, we've seen demand around entertainment units like television sets powered through solar. And so the future is really, really bright for renewable energy in this country. Just to give you some statistics that we have. Currently, we are basically working with more than 150 distributors that are actually making these affordable devices through our platform. We have close to more than 1 million devices on our platform today as we speak. We've more or less saved close to $100 million money saved on households. These are people who probably now are no longer buying paraffin or kerosene to be used. If you look at the carbon emission that we've actually reduced is significant through the concept of basically building that technology and allowing our partners to be able to access to avail to their consumers these devices through our platform.
And I'm glad you talked about technology, because beginning and also in terms of research and development, in terms of solar power, it's really, really prohibitive. So how exactly do you go around this challenge of creating technology that can also be mass produced and affordably?
So from where we sit as Angaza, we basically build a platform that allows distributors to be able to sell these devices. And I think there's been a lot of focus from development partners on how to make solar devices affordable and cost effective. There's a lot of investment that is going to that area. I think even private citizens are basically coming into this. And I think some of the driving factors is how do we leave the environment cleaner and how do we pass a safer world to the next generation. I think those are key driving factors that are basically driving individuals and even corporates and organizations in building technologies and even doing research on how we can be able to use renewable energy.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Calvin, what are some of the challenges in terms of financial inclusion?
I mean, there's quite a lot of challenges, and just as said previously, there's a little bit of understanding. You know, most people don't understand. You talk about financial inclusion, people think you're going straight to the banks and all that, but there's a lot of sectors driving that. If you look at pretty much every sector is driving that. I mean, the challenge, obviously, it's still coming on in terms of regulations and all that, and also technologies. You know, we still don't have enough technology. I mean, in that particular sector, because if you look at financial inclusion touches everywhere, like health. You know, we still need a lot of technology in that particular aspect. We still need to reach to have, you know, as simple technologies as possible that actually reach the person, you know, in the rural area who cannot even be able to access smartphone. And so the good thing with financial inclusion, it's also helps drive technology a lot, because the future cannot be driven without technology. You know, the future is going in that everybody will be able to have particular technology so that they can be able to access probably a particular product or buy particular goods, or and even just connect to the entire world.
All right. Thanks for that. Calvin Jadesi, thank you so much. Shadrach Anyuo for giving us time, insights on clean energy. And I do hope that you shall visit the studios once again to shed more light on this very invigorating topic. It's exhaustive, and I know we can just talk about everything here.
And we welcome everyone to join us for Financial Inclusion Award. You can check our website, which is www.financialinclusion.org, and probably get a ticket for yourself.
When are the awards?
It's actually going to be 9th of August at the Intercon. So if you go to our website, you can, get a ticket and also join, because it's also open to anybody who really want to connect with, people like Angaza and banks and all that, and understand financial inclusion more broadly.
Thanks for that.